This is a short story and it's called Agents Lee and Belmondo Meet the Voice of Destiny. They had one stop to make before they could begin their mission. They were to meet a man known only as the Voice of Destiny, an individual whose identity and activities were so deeply obscure that he almost did not exist. And yet he was revered in arcane circles and was often consulted, if he could be found, before taking up an especially unusual and potentially hazardous undertaking. According to recent and reasonably reliable intelligence, this man was due to appear in the reading room of the British Museum at 3 p.m. on Monday the 1st of July, 1968. Agents Lee and Belmondo arrived at the museum at 2:30 p.m. They were not taking any chances. If they missed this man and did not speak to him, the mission would be severely compromised and almost certainly doomed to failure, with serious consequences for themselves and perhaps the whole human race. The other option would be to abort the operation, but this would most likely have equally catastrophic results. The life of an agent is never straightforward or easy, that much is certain, and you're invariably going to be vilified, if not crucified, whether you succeed or not. Walking through vast rooms filled with ancient treasures, Agent Lee felt the pull of viral change, a network of contagion spreading from the dawn of time across centuries, heading supposedly to the now. This was only part of the picture, of course, the collection not quite reaching the present, leaving a tantalising and perhaps deliberately misleading gap, and failing to decisively link up the planet's past with the present, and therefore its future. In fact, one could easily propose a theory that the items in these devious rooms were in fact relics from another world entirely, extraterrestrial artefacts taken from their original context, their true home, and transplanted to a small, insignificant planet, providing it with a spurious identity and unreliable foundations. If language is a virus from outer space, as Lee had always maintained it was, then perhaps memory was too. Taken at face value, this museum was a noble attempt at chronicling the development of human history and culture, to enlighten us as to who we as a race had been, were now, and could conceivably be in the years, decades, centuries to come, given the chance. Peel off that face, and you would, of course, see it as a result of British colonial expansion, the rich pickings of cultural oppression and piracy. Peel back that ugly human face once more, a thick, grim, mendacious leer at that, and perhaps you would be left with a countenance you did not recognise. An alien visage, far removed from us in time and space, that had written a past that did not belong to us, but was now all that we had. It was a false memory implant informing us of where we had been and where we might be going, but essentially was sending us off in the wrong direction. Lee and Belmondo made their way to the round reading room, their agent ID, though inscrutable, giving them access as they knew it would. As operatives trained to discern the weird and uncanny, they were instantly aware of occult electricity crackling around the circular room with its high domed ceiling, orderly arranged stacks of thought in wise embrace, batteries of information and human intellectual energy contained in concentrated volumes of tightly packed paper. The sense of history in this room was as potent as in the rest of the museum, but here human presence was more intensely felt. The books themselves, the products of human wisdom and imagination, thoughts and feelings, were wirelesses, still transmitting the messages long after they had been activated. Indeed, many of the writers whose works were collected here had worked and studied in this very room, their fingerprints on pages, elbows on tables, backsides on chairs. If one imagined hard enough, one could still see their shades, essence and purpose held in place. Karl Marx, wild hair and full beard, pondering on the shape of history, its pattern of wealth and oppression. Oscar Wilde, flamboyant and charismatic, measuring himself against the past and the greatness of antiquity. Bram Stoker huddled over works on folklore and creatures of the night. Mahatma Gandhi and Vladimir Lenin, each readying himself to liberate and transform a nation. Rudyard Kipling, pulled back and forth by notions of empire, its attendant violation and waste, quietly drumming a tattoo with his fingers on the table. Arthur Rimbaud, hungry, poor, young and wild, somewhat dismissive of the accepted wisdom of the shows around him. And H.G. Wells, carefully mapping, among the vestiges of the past, the shape that humanity's future may take. The people who sat at the desks today, in study, research or creation, were engulfed in a field of residual activity, surrounded by ghosts. Agent Lee took out a Geiger counter from one of the pockets of his trench coat and looked at the reading. "He's certainly here," said Lee. "What?" said Belmondo. "Destiny is radioactive. Hadn't you figured that out, Slick?" They made their way around the room. Agent Lee studying the machine all the while, the strength of the reading determining which direction it took. The counter dipped and rose intermittently, finally pushing to its maximum as the two agents stopped at a table where a small, anonymous man in a brown tweed suit sat, hunched over a very large book. After a few seconds, the man stopped reading and looked up at him through one squinting eye in a loupe, a small magnifying lens used by jewelers in Europe. "Can I help you, perhaps with the names of Dante's 7 Circles of Hell?" he said. "I was more interested in detailed analysis of Paradise Lost, Book 9, said Lee. "Ah, the Fall of Man," said the stranger, removing the loupe from his right eye and popping it into the breast pocket of his jacket, then reaching into an inside pocket and taking out a pair of spectacles with unusually thick lenses, which he put on, blinking. "It seems like only yesterday. How time flies." With contact etiquette observed, Lee now knew that this small, middle-aged, balding man was indeed the voice of destiny, perhaps the most elusive being on the planet, as well as one of the most profound. "May we sit down?" said Lee. "Oh, by all means," said the voice of destiny. "It will not alter the flow of the continuum, and therefore it is not my concern." Lee and Belmondo took seats across the table from a diminutive contact. "We have some very important questions for you," said Lee, "but we are not sure what they are." "That is not uncommon. People seldom know what they really want, and so the questions they ask are usually irrelevant. The fact that you do not already have a question is proof that you are on the right track. However, I cannot guess your question for you, or else any answer I give as a result would be of no help to you. In fact, might prove counterproductive and most likely harmful for you both." "You know why we're here," said Lee. "I have a good idea. You're aware of our undertaking. It's not difficult to speculate upon. Do you know who we are?" With some awareness of your purpose and judging by your appearance, as well as picking up some vibrations from each of you, I can fill in some details, join the dots, so to speak, but I will need some more deep data if I am to be of any help to you. "Such as," said Lee. The voice of destiny pushed back his chair and, leaning down, picked up a large leather bag, rather like those used by doctors, which he placed on the table in front of him. He opened the bag and removed a strange contraption. He closed the case and put this contraption in the centre of the table. The object looked like a zoetrope, a cylindrical drum with vertical slits in the side and a stand that resembled a stout wooden candlestick. "Do you know what this is?" "It appears to be a dream machine," said Lee. "And so it is, but one of my own design, with a different way of working than others you may have encountered." The voice of destiny pressed a button in the base of the stand, and the drum began to spin around. It emitted a soft glow from inside and gave off a low hum. "I would ask you both to stare through the spinning slits, into and beyond what is inside the cylinder. You must try to empty your conscious mind, switch it off as best you can, and reach out, feel with your inner being. You must lose yourself for a little while and project your essence into the machine. For this, your eyes must be closed." Lee took off his hat and laid it to one side on the table. He stared into the machine and closed his eyes. Belmondo did the same. As they did so, light and images from the machine nevertheless penetrated through, while the low humming became louder and more hypnotic. Agent Lee, possessed by mind spirits from a parallel universe, injects anti-chaos laxative until Lassie comes home and Bowtie stops spinning, while screaming frenzy heartache bubbles beneath like sleeper waiting to emerge when telephone rings, mailbox rattles, electric toaster pops, and boats are crawling along ceiling flooring and drain pipes behind walls, refrigerator, bathtub, pouring from taps all over drapes, fire escapes, Babe Ruth, Tell the Truth, and Shane the Dentist. Alcoholic, vitriolic, flamethrower, old-time blitzkrieg, treatment getting bigger like Godzilla, stomp and snip and snap, and there goes Japan! Agent Belmondo, in jetpack, tuxedo, laid back like Dino, haunted like Aznavour. Boulevards are broken, dreams dark and wounds open like Baudelaire, screaming with meaning, at dwarfish Nazis, the ballet dancers with bars of soap but without hope, escaping in Ford Mustang, while black Mariahs, in pursuit, Tommy guns, rat-tat-tat, hard to shake off in a crossfire, and never saw the car coming and the bumps on Skid Row, and heartbreak, booze, orgasm, death, coming back like a boomerang, cabaret, nightmare, cannabis, cocaine, booze, nymphets, sucking lollipops from the road ends, and bang! Agents Lee and Belmondo opened their eyes, and the dream machine stopped, spinning. The voice of destiny was making notes with a pencil and a little black book. He paused and looked at them through thick, distorted lenses, as if from deep underwater. "Do you have a question for me now?" he said. Once again, Lee and Belmondo looked at each other. Did they have a question? "Try not to think of what you want to ask, just ask it," said the voice of destiny. "Whichever question you speak will invariably be the right one." Agent Lee took from his pocket a shiny $1 coin, tossed it in the air, and caught it. "Oh," he said. "That's," said Agent Belmondo. "Heads it is, my friend. You do the asking, slick." Agent Belmondo thought for a moment. "Quel qui est notre premier pas," he said. "You already know what your first move should be," said the voice of destiny. "You must find a man named Arthur Crabtree, who was often a woman called Ethel Crabtree, depending on season or inclination. Neuralize him or her and take what he or she has. However, this is not the question you should really be asking. Ask another." Agent Belmondo thought of Jean Cocteau and the Orpheus myth. "Où va l'oiseau doux, quand elle est à côte de doigts," said Agent Belmondo. "À l'endroit qu'elle reconnaît comme la sienne," said the voice of destiny. Agent Belmondo looked at us, Agent Lee, who gave a slight shrug, his face as deadpan as ever. "Well, gentlemen, I wish you both voyage, and bon voyage even, and the best of luck with your mission," said the voice of destiny. "You will not see me again." He opened his book and started to study it once more. The two agents looked at each other for a few moments, then stood up and moved away from the table and headed for the door. When they stopped by the exit and looked back, the table they had occupied was empty. So here they were, two agents working on a mission that they did not understand, for an unknown agency with whom they had little or no contact. And as they stepped out into what appeared to be a sunny July afternoon in the year 1968, they were both fully aware that they were heading into unknown territory and that they had no map or compass and very little idea of what might happen next.
The sun has exploded. In 8 minutes and 20 seconds, an intense raging eruption will emanate from the orb of explosive fire that makes up 99.8% of our solar system's matter, raining down a mutilating wave of death and destruction onto our tiny globe of water and dirt. Neutrinos will cut through the crust, leaving the battered planet we call home to bleed out pools of molten lava into the emptiness of space. The explosion will strike so quickly that the light from the blast will have to catch up to the action, casting a brief and sorry glare over mankind's inevitable fate, before disappearing from view, submerging us forevermore into the dark. Here on Earth, the extensive research and what-if scenarios, painfully laboured over by scientists, over what would happen in the situation will finally come to fruition for the brief milliseconds each of the authors has left to live, so they can ponder and evaluate how accurate they were in the hypotheses before coming to the inevitable conclusion as our collective universe of conscious ends abruptly and permanently. Well, they will say, that was a waste of fucking time. All our great buildings and monuments, our natural wonders and mountains, our shanty towns, our slums, great deserts, bottomless oceans, statues of slave makers, Aldis and Lidls, crazy golf theme parks and churches of various faiths, all will melt into one giant ball of molten liquid goop, rapidly cooling and erratically floating away, a rogue lump of useless matter that has lost its energising anchor, seeking a new higher master orbit. Higher beings will float down to the emergent rubble, their bee-like wings softly buzzing as they pick at the remains with their sticks, pulling out hot pockets of liquid gold to cool in their icy hands, to use as lining in the pockets of their trim-tailored suits, before shrugging their shoulders and floating away. The carbon matter that made up our great rulers will fuse grotesquely with those of their underlings, their servants, their slaves and their peasants. Mount Everest, the Mariana Trench, Bastard in Botchgate, all will be equally pointless as oblivion. Electricity will exist but without pylons and sockets, oxygen will not be stored in tanks, and nothing will ever again start a fire with a sulphur-fueled red-cap match. Facts will be gone, nothing will record the stats and details of this event. There will be no rolling coverage and no pointless memes. The goddamn explosion won't even have a Wikipedia page. I emerged to describe to you the dark fate of this planet as we will be long gone, way before any of the real carnage starts. Submitting to the intense heat, 20 quintillion, that's a billion you geeks, 20 quintillion heartbeats will stop simultaneously, shortly after twice as many eyeballs melt from their sockets, creating a brief ocean of sticky white matter to pave our streets and our jungles. Frogs, camels, capybaras, star-nosed moles, centipedes, great white sharks, and Venezuelan poodle moths will also come in unison to Raymond Chandler's metaphorical big sleep. And the only positive fact we can take from the complete annihilation of sentient existence is that James Corden is guaranteed to be on the list of the dead. So, any regrets? Let's hear them. Other than accidentally choosing to spend your last night with an irate performers who wails against the pure banality of existence, what have you got? I mean, what's your regrets? Someone. Regrets?
Brexit.
Brexit.
That was you. Sorry.
Not going to more music festivals.
One more, this end?
Big one.
See, we get to my point, thank God they say. You know what, those regrets you just told me, and those regrets that stayed in the rest of your heads because you're too ashamed of how boring they are, they're all utterly pointless. Haven't I just been saying nothing is going to exist very fucking imminently? Even if I was lying to you about the sun, embrace the grim reality that one day in the not too distant future you will permanently lose your senses as your consciousness turns off like a rather dull light bulb, and for all intent and purposes, the closest are to us may as well have exploded. For each and every one of us in this room and beyond, the entirety of existence rests within the intangible orb of consciousness we call the mind. To each of you, I am effectively a product of your imagination, created by your own senses, and the feeling is very fucking mutual. When my life ends, my universe ends. When your life ends, your universe ends. I hope none of you are expecting any John Betjeman-style whimsy. You will die. It's inevitable. But that isn't morbid. It isn't bleak. It's not beautiful either. Not unless you want it to be. It's just a fact. And by accepting that fact, your life will be much better. I'm not going to tell you to be happy. That's trite and unachievable. I'm in a room with a bunch of people that have actively chose to come to a poetry and krautrock night. I strongly suspect that many of us walk with a spring in our step. But accept the fragility of life and it will at least become funny. Even the stuff you hate can become funny. Getting stuck in line at the post office due to that overly officiousness counter clerk is hilarious when you know he's wasting his time as much as everyone else's. Wiping that dog shit off your shoe amongst the fag books and Pokemon cards and the small tuft of grass outside the community centre will crack you up when you realise that all matter is the same and you will eventually decay into nothing. I'm a happy soul. Living in a ramshackle little hut while psychotic rulers live in machine-gun-guarded villas will make you actually piss your pants in glee when you know the price they paid was forgoing any sense of warmth in their heart as they sacrificed love, lust and leisure in order to keep their slippery, greasy grip on a fragile power they already knew will inevitably betray them. It's a wonderful feeling knowing those prayers, pleas and affirmations to your God are a waste of time, and any perceived sign you sense is that they are listening is almost certainly down to your own desperate need to be shown a path that already exists. Your prayers, witchcraft and healing crystals don't guide you, they point you to what you already know. You just didn't believe in yourself enough and wanted someone else to show you the way. Optimistic nihilism will rid you of guilt and shame as long as you remember, like free speech, consequences are as important as actions. So resist that urge to charge down those steps and start taking a dump in the middle of Nelson Street, because that is not what I'm saying. But life is bleak, life is finite, so give up on those regrets, but give up on those dreams too. Just play drunken parkour in Morrison's car park at 2 in the morning instead. I actually did that. Providing you're willing to accept that you might break a leg. But I'm telling you this all too late, the world is ending. Until then, a bloke called Stan or Raymond will wake up every day, eat his cornflakes, pop to the shop for his morning paper, get in a Twix to treat his wife before going home to sit up straight on the sofa and turn up the telly when the news comes on. Until then, a happy family will lose themselves in the ocean waves on their beach holiday, laughing gleefully as they pull backwards and forwards by the moon's gravitational pull before buying the kids an ice cream. Until then, a service station machine will believe its only reason to exist is to serve foul-tasting coffee to desperate businessmen on their way to a corporate firework event. But after then, the world will end in about 5 seconds, so get me a fucking drink.
We are all born into this world in pain, gasping for air that burns our lungs, the sudden change in atmosphere stinging our eyes, our skin, vocal folds in agony as they smack against each other for the first time. The light is piercing. Vibrations punch through the air to our ears, chemicals worm their way into our nostrils, and most of us scream. A violent and primal scream, an audible pastiche of pain. We are raped by existence, by life. The moment we are born, our surroundings are hostile on us. We are small and insignificant, and we cry. We cry for the fast-fading memory of the womb, that watery world that once warmed and held us free of worry. We are spat out, and our journey begins. Okay, this poem is satire. A dire look in on a dire moment in time. It comments on the news of this time, which sounds more like chaos than rhyme. This poem is satire, intended to poke at your stupidity and vices, because today that kind of shit holds no surprises. This one's a warmonger, this one dodges taxes, this one's forcing kids to work, this one's their boss, who smiles and relaxes knowing that at least they're safe. Fucking mental case. Find another planet to deface. This poem is satire. In the context of politics, this annexed monolithic fire absolves no one of sin as you look to your next of kin. This one's dumping oil in the ocean. This one's hiding missiles from the neighbour. This one's fucking kids. This one's looking on, giving themselves a self-congratulatory jerk. No tears in their eyes because they chose to replace them with lies. This poem is satire. I'm talking about the world on a plate to the highest buyer. I'm talking about money as a global amplifier for a wealth of stupidity. I'm talking about a choir that sings nothing but a dirge. I'm talking about paying to prevent a ceasefire from ever occurring on any spit of land you choose to herd madness on or cultivate sadness on. This poem is satire. The drabness and bladness of this grandiose canvas turns the ADMAS eyes from gladness, fills the people's eyes with blackness, tilts the planet off its axis. Manic practice forced with malice, the grandness of this panic palace is promised not to ever vanish and hurl our hope to the darkness of the stratosphere, but still reachable beyond that fear, though it may not be how it appears if we stop firing guns, if we work as one, if we write more fucking puns. Remind yourself what fun felt like when you were young and the weight of the world couldn't affect you. Learn to respect all that share this world with you. Be the architect that knows how to stop the conflict because that way of life just seems incorrect. Hold hands with the heavy-hearted human race. Re-engage a race for space. Grasp that hope that once was discarded and resurrected. Okay. Wrote this one while having a panic attack while pooing. I sit here shitting as hard as I fucking can. Hugging and kissing my knees, blood vessels bulging, straining. There's a smelting pot that won't be empty, won't be free, won't be anything other than full to the brim, overflow at the edge. All's needed is one more grain of shit, one more wafer-thin bit. So I sit here trying to shit it out as hard as I fucking can. I don't care if it ends in piles or I'm left gaped wide open yawning. At least then all the shit can be evacuated, dumped out onto the floor to be sifted through, hands full of life excrement, fistfuls of dense fucking doo-doo. If I could just poo all this shit out, I wouldn't have to care about a ruptured anus or how much it hurts to sit, because the shit would be gone. Mere smears of brown and viscera painted plainly on the floor to see, to make sense of, to see what the fuck keeps going wrong. What am I eating? What am I drinking? What am I living like that so much tripe makes it through my living system? Life! Ah! Churning around in my guts into the sequence of intestines, down into the fleshy void below, packed down, condensed and heavy, to be fired out in pain and anguish, pummeled porcelain accepting it all, sat first in front of the firing squad, shot, gunned and splattered, and still more to come. More shit from life for the body to process, more mental modes, marked, muddied, just trying to sit here and not fuck it all up, because all I seem to do is shit and shit and shit some more, and that's all it'll ever be, and that's all it's ever going to be, and that's all I'll ever feel. Turning the tumult of life into shit in my bowels doesn't really matter, because all of it already was shit. All of it came from shit, and now through me, from whence it came, to the shit, it fucking returns. One second while I retrieve the poems on the phone. Well, that one I just said there was pretty good. Think about it. Everything you do, they're just distractions. Distractions for the years, distractions for the months, distractions for the weeks, distractions for the days, distractions for the hours, distractions for the minutes, distractions for the seconds, distractions again. Distractions today, again, keep me from the pain, again, today, as yesterday, a distraction, a whole sun's orbit's worth, and another load today on the earth. Distract me from the difficult, distract me from the painful, distract me so I can do something, distract me so I can concentrate, distract me so I can stand for a while, distract me so I can be still for a while, still without convulsing in tears, still so I can see through the sailing and keep distracting me, distract me so I can eat, distract me so I can drink, distract me so I can interact, distract me so I can dance, distract me so I can sing, distract me so I can fucking breathe. I want to breathe. Keep the distractions coming. Don't let me think of it. Don't let me sit with it. I've sat enough with it, sat months and weeks with it, beyond sick with it, because I've tried to do all I can with it, turned it over in my mind to see what I can do with it. Just what can I do with this? Again and again, with the pain in between, distractions. What do I do with this? Again, another time, and again, another time, with no answer. What do I do with this? Time is what you do with this one. I don't want time. Time hurts. Time is the agony between distractions. Time is the thing you wade through. Time is that bitch that bites. Time is the animal that tears into you. The force that says, no! You sit with this. Enough with your distractions. Enough with the wallowing. Enough with the whining. Enough with the old in-between crying. Your pillows, clothes and carpets are too saturated. You could water yourself for months with the misery you've cultivated. Distractions don't heal. Distractions don't make it better. Distractions can't change its shape. The forms will always be there. What it looks like will never go away. What it feels like will never hurt any less. But over time, with time, the shape won't change. The forms stay the same. But what it looks like with time, what it feels like with time, will become more familiar and a little bit easier. It'll be something you get used to with time. just gotta give everything time. The weight is back. It's a lot of different things, it's a lot of different thoughts, it's a lot of different feelings. It's one, then another, and another, and another still, and sat on top of it all, weighing down. The weight is back, and the weight weighs it all down. It sits, pushing, pressing on you, the great black dog weighing down on and over everything, weighing you down the past, weighing down the future, weighing down the present day, night, day, night, day, night, day, night. Comes the dawn, wait. Comes the night, wait. Comes the shite, wait. Comes the brawn, yawn, sweet, sickly at the familiar sight. Day, night, day, night, day, night, day, night, day, night. In, out, and about it weighs down, 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 still further spiralling, sinking farther down into the void it goes, with you kicking and screaming in its jaws. But lest you come to live no more, you've got to get ahead of it all. Kick back down at its motley maw. Wrestle as a beast would, life or death. Stay above water, treading the liquid, egg beating to be buoyant, because somehow, from somewhere, somehow the strength will be found. Look at the world, the self, others, self the shit, step forward, hold hands and mantle, or use any other personal semantic simile that makes you think more. Listen harder, be bolder, dream farther, go more, be better, dream larger, go forever, just go. Really fucking go. Go there, go here, go where, go near, go through, go under, go over, do over, go to the new, remembering the old, but still looking forward, and still just going, because stopping hurts. And those distractions only stop the stopping for a while. Stopping feels like a trapped animal, trapped in ever-growing energy, ever-growing but not going. Trapped beast in a cage, and still not going, energy building up, but still not going, just growing larger and larger, so why stop when stopping hurts? Get back to the going and never stopping, but sometimes dropping pace to be picked back up and tied all together, filled with more going to channel limitless growing, because the cage beast is flowing now, down, in and around, still never stopping because of how the stopping sounds, still never stopping because of how the stopping resounds, still never stopping when it's all too much, and it is all too much. If some semantic structure could do all that and more, sing the beast to sleep with subtext, sigh softly in its ears, whispering of satire, it would breathe, listen, pursue and pause, synecdoche, words become a syndeton, barreled breath begins again, time for rest is done again, got to get out and be seen again, so beast, pause, stir, and up you get, back to the going and growing some more, you've had time and rest to think and ponder, on with plundered hair, brain asunder, your mind will seek and see the wonder, dance with those who share your blunders, thunder onwards, no thought of once were, give enough time to feel your shudder, spine tingle down, that's life, anti-frown, and at the same time, don't look down, because at the same time, for the same time, when you want no one on earth to know who you are, what you are, or where you are, or where you're going to be, or who and what you are, or who and what you are when you're you, when like no one else is watching, when like in a dream, the watchful eyes of others alter and affect what and who you are, and how you do the things that you do, and how you do the things that you want to do, and how and when you do the things that you want to do, and how and when, what, where and why you want to do the things that you want to share. But then we're back to the reverse, back to the flip side, back to the grass is greener ever on the other way side, thinking, I want to be there, but when I'm there, I want so desperately to be here. And there's no way you can stay here much longer while wanting so dearly to be in the there. But right now you're here with the great black dog. And from here you can't share in a cage, you can't be there. So you need to get ahead of the beast till you're towing it behind you on a leash. You need to get ahead of the beast. Ahead of the beast you'll find your peace, because that beast in the cage is still growing. And you've got to keep on going ahead of the beast. You've got to keep growing. Ahead of the beast you'll find your peace. You've got to keep going ahead of the beast. Ahead of the beast. Ahead of the beast. Thank you. Okay, this is the last one. Thank you. Forced silence. Practically nothing. A flash, a blur of words. And the dash begins for hands that attempt to keep pace with what the brain hides. Grey matter swirls and churns out through a hurried spout as handwriting is hurt, haphazardly harming these homely paper pages, breathing. Steady after every sentence, it's calm when you put that cap on the entrance, it's calm when you feel like you're at your ascendance. That full stop feels so good, and it should. And if you would be so kind to listen with your ears and mind, I'll try putting to words what all this means to me. But whatever I say or write today, it always seems to be more. A time to find some rhymes, more. Without thinking about, doubting sometimes, more. Instilling, fulfilling lost feelings, revealing, more. Contemplating, dominating, complications, connotations, notwithstanding, more. Occasionally inescapable, interchangeably informational, more. Indefatigable, communicational, unimaginable, so presentational, representational, more. Depersonalization of individuality, self-examination, that cult of personality, more. Over-enthusiastically, tetrahydrocannabinol materializes here with over-sentimentalism. Text healing, revealing meaning, spirit beaming for all the thought cleaning. This private screening convening those that don't see eye to eye. This art is mine. It helps me to survive, reminds me I can thrive, puts my being into overdrive, compensates for what I am deprived of, creating an archive for what I strive for, what I want to feel alive for. Paper, pen, and then my hand combined with mind so I can withstand it all. The words on the page stare back at me. I read them through and understand myself more. Thank you very much.
Hello. I bring with me today some tales for you about a place I once visited. A place I hope none of you have had the misfortune of ever being aware of. Believe me when I say that I am very lucky to be standing here today, lucky to be alive. I urge you all, no matter how curious you may become, don't look for this place. Don't visit this place. You might not be as lucky. Let me introduce you all to Neverwill. Clouds in the sky stay perfectly still in the town in the valley of Neverwill. At windowsills, the folks wait till the yesterday hunters have made their kill. They watch as the hot sun steadily sets, the heat from its rays make their eyeballs wet. Strangers net, the worse it gets. No stranger has survived as yet. Nights in the valley are fatally cold, the thin-skinned boring and far too old. Which one are you? The townspeople march to the silent beat of the heart in the mountain where the councillors meet. It hurts their feet. They don't take a seat. The councillors will make your death discreet. Colours of new are in full bloom, greys of joy and yellows of gloom. Beloved heirlooms in Nan's living room are the shade of the earth's impending doom. The honest fall silent, for they have no choice. The Daily Now paper has stolen their voice. What is truth? Children dance in the traditional style. The victims are placed in a growing pile. See them smile, you'd run a mile. The hope in their eyes is simply vile. Creatures keep in full display, inviting the gullible out to play. They'll whisk you away to another day. The hunters will finally have their prey. We do what we want, and in our defence is because we know life makes no sense. And what's wrong with that? Everyone's got a pet mind of their own in the land of the wooden soldiers made out of stone. We live on our own, though we're never alone in this marvellous hellscape we call home. We gather to celebrate apathy in our glorious church of misanthropy. The priest, you see, swore celibacy out of his deep hatred for humanity. To keep me feeling my very best, I have but one simple request. Don't wake me up. The sermon. Trust unto no one, the priest did say, the message of every sermon, every second Thursday. Mutters it from the altar in the church of misanthropy, where we're taught the good message of suspicion and apathy. Its seats aren't very comfortable, but its treasures shine and glisten, and it's the only place for truth. So we'll sit and closely listen. Then we'll eat the sacred bread, the skin off his back. We'll drink the sacred wine, blood from the last attack. Now what's a town without people, eh? Let's have a little look at them. What do they have to say? The townspeople. Another sunny day. How we love a sunny day. Marching is far easier on a bright and sunny day. Marching out of town, through the valley of Neverwell. We barely make a sound, though the children like a shrill, but not from their throats. They can catch more when they're silent. They don't really like to gloat, but they can be quite violent. We love our council, don't ask us why, for then we would tear the blue from the sky. We'll march until we can march no more, till the pain from the steps reaches our core. And when we collapse to the merciless ground, bury our bodies where they won't be found. Sometimes we wish you could see the world from our eyes. Then you might understand better why we absolutely despise it. Sometimes we wish you could see the world from our eyes. Then you'd see Neverwell, and it would mesmerize you. Like it mesmerized us when we first arrived. Once strangers, now saved. And we cried, and we cried, and we cried. Awakened, breathing in the new, fresh air, looking to the sun to guide our way. Madness! Stare in the eyes of God and telling him, "Harry, give us your worst!" We'll cheer on the council, yes, yes, yes. We'll be thankful for the hunters, yes, yes, yes. We'll attend every sermon, yes, yes, yes. We'll deal with any strangers, yes, yes, yes. For us, the townspeople, Neverwell's population, enjoy complete isolation from the rest of this world, this nasty little world. We'll stay and march and be joyful, be merry, we're free, we're scary, so extraordinary, and completely out of our minds. From your point of view, though we think you may find we can see your world far better These strangers coming into our town, admiring the view of the beautiful valley with their A to Z of Britain mapped, or even on their adults beyond me, expecting hospitality and a sea of smiley faces and a warm bed at a 3-star B&B with a good view of the valley and a full English in the morning, and a leave little fun things to do in the local area. The local area, of course, being this town and the wide rolling hills of bugger all. Complaining about the lack of wine options at the pub and asking if we have a local distillery. Do we, Eck? Then having the audacity to suggest we should have more to offer and saying, have you thought about opening a visitor centre or museum of the local area documenting the economic and rural history of your town, which I'm sure is quite vast, judging by the architecture, which at first glance seems to date back to around the late 1700s. Am I correct? And to make matters worse, love, correct me if I'm wrong, but they bring no chaos with them whatsoever. Boring bastards. Well, looks like that's one less to worry about. Just 64 million more to go, eh, love? I'll put the kettle on then, shall I? Who fancies a pint? Stop me go for one about now. Well, there's only one place in this town, in the centre of Neverwell. I'm not telling you whereabouts there, because you don't want to go. And that place, of course, is the Monarch's Head. So let me take you now on a little misadventure down the Monarch's Head. The Monarch's Head is the place to be to get a proper pint. But don't just show up, you peasant, you. You need a proper invite. You must brand yourself with the famous logo hanging by the door. And upon entering for the first time, you must kiss its blessed floor. You'll find every character here, from the councillors to the hunters. But new faces are quite rare. They prefer their regular punters. But when a stranger does arrive, they're welcomed with open arms. And just as they start to feel at home, we cause them serious harm. Our beloved landlady is in charge and is the unchallenged queen. Also for over 50 years, the most ruthless there's ever been. Praise be to the landlady. Please don't turn us down, for if she chooses to reject you, you'll be chased out of town. We enjoy reckless entertainment, but not our local fame. Our favourite is a very risky but hilarious drinking game. Drink, 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 you fool, until you're light and tipsy. Drink, 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 moron, until you can hardly see. Drink, 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 puppet. No, there's no need to scream and shout. Just keep on drinking, drink it up, because there's poison in the stout. And the landlady's throwing you out. And there's creatures all about. And as you stand there chilled to the bone, you quickly realise that tonight you will not make it home. Drink responsibly, nevertheless. Now I feel like I need to bring this to some kind of conclusion. Indeed, it's quite a hard thing to do. But I have here actually my final thoughts. As a person who's been observed the place, its horrors, the lights I'll never unsee, I've written my own personal thoughts. And that is what I will leave you with today. I'd rather be in Neverwell. Sitting in the garden with a glass of wine, absorbing the sun of the evening time. It brings me no joy, and I heavily sigh, because I'd rather be in Neverwell. Working in an office with minimal pay, with a boss who wants things done their way. I have no hopes, and I have no say, so I'd rather be in Neverwell. Dancing in a nightclub at 2 a.m. with men who think I'm in love with them. From their audacity my feelings stem, for I'd rather be in Neverwell. Singing a hymn at my friend's wedding and watching the tears that they are shedding. The rest of the evening I am dreading, as I'd rather be in Neverwell. Listening to family while out for lunch and the gossip that they loudly crunch, I search for the nearest wall to punch, because I'd rather be in Neverwell. Silently watching the news at 10, everything's going wrong again. When it comes to change, there is no when, so I'd rather be in Neverwell. Reading books by philosophers who say that to live is to suffer and it's only going to get tougher, for I'd rather be in Neverwell. Lying in bed awaiting dreams. The ultimate escape from the world, it seems. But they don't free me, and so I scream. rather be in Neverville. Thank you very much.